Have you ever noticed how the more you talk, the less people seem to listen? How the more you reveal, the less they respect you? The Stoics understood something that most people today have forgotten. Power doesn't shout, it whispers. Every time you overshare your goals, your emotions, or your struggles, you drain your inner strength. You give people a map to your weaknesses. Marcus Aurelius lived by silence, not because he had nothing to say, but because he knew that words are like arrows. Once released, they can't be taken back. So before you tell the world your next move, stop and ask yourself, why do I need them to know? Because the truth is, real strength doesn't announce itself. It moves in silence and lets the results make the noise. 1. Silence is a fortress of power. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." This truth extends beyond material possessions or circumstances. It includes your words. Every word you speak is energy leaving your body, a small fragment of your focus and power escaping into the world. When you constantly share your dreams, struggles, and emotions with everyone around you, you unknowingly open the gates of your inner fortress. You allow others to step into your mental space, some with curiosity, others with judgment, and a few with quiet envy. Silence, in the Stoic way, is not about hiding. It is about guarding what is sacred. Think of silence as the armor that protects your inner kingdom. The more you talk about your next move, the more vulnerable you become to distraction, discouragement, or even sabotage. Words can invite unnecessary opinions and energies into your plans, weakening your commitment. The Stoic understands that every goal, every transformation, every dream requires incubation, a protected period of quiet growth before it's ready to face the noise of the world. Just as a seed must remain buried in darkness before it becomes a tree, your ideas must first grow in silence before they are strong enough to withstand the winds of doubt. When you choose silence, you preserve your energy. Instead of wasting it on explaining, defending, or convincing others, you direct it inward toward building, improving, and mastering yourself. Silence sharpens your awareness. It teaches you to listen to the world, to others, and most importantly, to yourself. In silence, you notice patterns you missed before, the tone behind people's words, the motives behind their actions, and the impulses within your own mind. You become more observant, more strategic, and more patient. The Stoics believed that power comes from control over emotions, impulses, and words. Speaking without purpose scatters your focus like arrows shot in every direction, hitting nothing. But silence gathers your focus like a single arrow pulled tight against the bowstring, ready to strike precisely when needed. The one who practices silence doesn't lack confidence. They possess an inner calm so deep that they no longer feel the need to prove anything. Their silence is not weakness, it's mastery. Remember, the strongest warriors don't announce their battles. They prepare in stillness and strike when the moment is right. The same principle applies to life. Those who move in silence build power others can't see. While others waste energy explaining, they are quietly transforming. And when the results finally appear, they speak louder than any words ever could. In a world that constantly demands attention and noise, choosing silence makes you rare, and in being rare, you become powerful. 2. People hear, but they don't always care. Epictetus once said, "Be careful whom you tell your troubles to." These words carry timeless wisdom, especially in a world where oversharing has become a habit. Today, people reveal their deepest emotions, private struggles, and personal plans to anyone willing to listen: friends, co-workers, even strangers online. But the truth is, not everyone who listens actually cares, and not everyone who cares can truly understand. Some people listen out of curiosity, others out of boredom, and a few only to measure your weakness or find material for gossip. The Stoic mind recognizes this painful reality. Your peace starts to erode the moment you begin seeking sympathy or validation from the wrong ears. When you share your problems too freely, you risk inviting unnecessary opinions and judgments. Each time you explain your pain to someone, you give them a small piece of power over your emotions. You might feel relief for a moment, but soon, their reactions, their words, and even their silence begin to affect your peace of mind. Suddenly, you start wondering what they think of you, whether they're judging you, or whether they truly understand. And this dependency on external validation is exactly what Stoicism warns against. The wise understand that not every ear deserves your truth, and not every heart has the depth to hold your pain. True strength is not found in broadcasting your suffering, it's found in mastering it quietly. The Stoics didn't seek pity or attention, they sought growth and perspective. When something troubled them, they turned inward. They observed their emotions, analyzed their causes, and worked toward control rather than complaint. They didn't suppress their feelings, they transformed them into understanding. Because healing doesn't always come from being heard. Sometimes it comes from being still. We live in an age of noise where everyone is speaking, but few are truly listening. People scroll, react, and move on. They may offer you comforting words, but their attention rarely lasts beyond the moment. So why depend on such fragile sympathy? A Stoic understands that self-reliance is the path to peace. When you can hold your emotions without leaking them into every conversation, you gain control over your own narrative. You no longer need the world to validate your pain or your progress. The next time you feel the urge to tell someone everything you're going through, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what am I really seeking? Comfort or clarity? If it's comfort, remember that it's temporary. If it's clarity, know that silence offers more answers than most conversations ever will. Your emotions are sacred. They are lessons meant for you, not for public display. The Stoic strength lies in processing quietly, reflecting deeply, and acting wisely. People hear your words, but only a few will truly understand your silence. So learn to trust that silence more than you trust the noise. Because silence will never betray you, misunderstand you, or judge you. It simply allows you to heal, to grow, and to return to the world stronger, calmer, and unshakable. 3. Silence protects you from misunderstanding. Words are powerful tools, but they are also dangerous weapons when used carelessly. Once spoken, they no longer belong to you. They belong to the listener's interpretation. You might mean something pure, something honest, or something deeply personal, but once your words leave your mouth, they travel through the filters of another person's emotions, insecurities, and biases. What you said with good intent might be twisted, misheard, or remembered in a way that no longer reflects your truth. And this is why the Stoics believed that restraint in speech is not just wisdom, it's protection. Seneca once wrote, "Speech is the mirror of the soul." But even mirrors can distort when they are cracked by perception. The world today is full of cracked mirrors, people who project their fears, judgments, and misunderstandings onto what you say. When you speak too quickly or too emotionally, you create space for distortion. But when you stay silent, you give yourself the time to understand your own thoughts before offering them to the world. Silence protects you from being misinterpreted, misquoted, and misunderstood. It shields you from unnecessary conflicts and from the pain of being judged for words that never carried the meaning others attached to them. The Stoic way teaches that clarity of thought must always precede expression. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to speak only when it benefits both the speaker and the listener. This practice forces awareness. It makes you question whether your words are necessary, helpful, or true. Because most of what we say doesn't add value, it adds confusion. When you learn to be comfortable with pauses, you gain control over your impulses. You stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand you, and you begin to trust that your silence will say what words cannot. In life, misunderstandings are inevitable, but many can be avoided by speaking less and observing more. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you demonstrate maturity. You prove that your peace matters more than being right. The world is filled with noise, everyone trying to be heard, few trying to understand. When you choose silence, you rise above that chaos. You become untouchable because no one can twist words you never said. Consider how many relationships have been broken, opportunities lost, or reputations damaged, not because of actions, but because of words spoken in haste or taken out of context. The Stoic understands this risk and values silence as a form of self-defense. It's not about avoiding communication, it's about mastering it. The one who knows when to speak and when to remain silent commands a level of control that few ever achieve. Remember, silence doesn't mean surrender. It means you are wise enough to let truth reveal itself in time. It means you no longer waste energy trying to prove your intentions to those who can't perceive them. In silence, your presence becomes your statement, your actions become your language, and your peace becomes your loudest voice. 4. Your energy is sacred. Stop leaking it. Your energy is your most valuable currency. Every thought you entertain, every emotion you express, and every word you speak requires energy. Yet most people spend it carelessly. They give it away in endless conversations, meaningless explanations, and emotional reactions that serve no purpose. The Stoics understood this truth deeply. A person who cannot guard their energy will always feel drained, distracted, and defeated. Because every time you talk excessively about your plans, your pain, or your problems, you are leaking energy that could have been used to change them. Imagine your energy like water in a sacred vessel. If you keep pouring it out to everyone who asks for a sip, there will be nothing left to nourish yourself. Some people will drink from it with gratitude, others will spill it without care. The Stoic does not allow this. He learns to seal his vessel, to share selectively, intentionally, and only when it truly serves a purpose. Your words are not just sounds, they are the carriers of your mental focus and emotional vibration. The more you speak about what you want to achieve, the less momentum you have to actually achieve it. That's why Stoicism teaches action over explanation, to do more than you say. Epictetus warned, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, the wise do not waste energy trying to make others understand them. They don't seek approval for their path or validation for their silence. They understand that people's opinions are outside their control and therefore unworthy of their emotional investment. Each time you defend your vision, explain your motives, or argue for your worth, you scatter your inner force across countless minds. But when you hold your silence, you preserve your energy in one place within you, where it becomes focus, discipline, and power. Silence is not weakness, it's containment. It's knowing that not everything needs to be spoken, because not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Every word you say opens a door, and not everyone who walks through it comes with good intentions. The world is full of subtle thieves, not of money, but of energy. Some drain you with their complaints, others with their curiosity, and many with their negativity. The Stoic learns to close these doors quietly, not with anger but with awareness. Protecting your peace does not mean isolating yourself. It means being selective with who you let into your mental space. When you stop leaking energy through unnecessary speech, something profound happens. Your presence becomes stronger. You begin to walk differently, calmer, more grounded, more intentional. People start to notice your silence not as absence, but as power. They feel the energy you carry, the focus you radiate, the calm that silence creates. And this is the paradox: when you stop talking so much, people start listening more. Because silence commands attention. It creates mystery, and mystery draws respect. Think about how a great mountain stands silent, unmoving, yet awe-inspiring. It doesn't need to explain its height, nor does it seek admiration. It simply is. The Stoic seeks to embody that same stillness, to be powerful without noise, to be influential without explanation. Your silence is your mountain, strong, immovable, sacred. It cannot be touched by gossip, criticism, or misunderstanding. Energy is sacred because it shapes your reality. Every word is a seed planted in the garden of your life. Speak carelessly, and you scatter weeds. Speak consciously, or better yet, remain silent when unsure, and you preserve the soil for what truly matters. The Stoic lives by the principle: conserve your fire. Don't burn it, trying to light every torch you see. Keep it steady, keep it centered, and use it to illuminate your own path. Your energy determines the quality of your thoughts, your relationships, and your destiny. Guard it like a king guards his crown. Speak less, observe more. Do not leak energy in proving your worth. Let your discipline speak for you. Because when you finally learn to hold your energy, when you stop giving it away to every opinion, reaction, and distraction, you'll discover something extraordinary. Peace becomes effortless, focus becomes natural, and success becomes inevitable. Mystery creates respect. In a world that constantly demands exposure, mystery has become a rare and powerful currency. The more you reveal, the more predictable you become, and the more predictable you are, the less power you hold. The Stoics understood that restraint in speech and action is not suppression. It is strategy. When you hold back your thoughts, your emotions, and your plans, you create an aura of calm control that silently commands attention. Mystery isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about preserving your depth for those who have earned the right to see it. Seneca once said, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." The same applies to your presence in conversation. When you reveal yourself everywhere, your goals, your fears, your private moments, you dissolve the very essence of who you are. Your energy becomes scattered, your image diluted. But when you practice restraint, when you learn to stay quiet, to speak only when necessary, to keep parts of your life untouched by public eyes, you create gravity around you. People begin to wonder about you, not because you're loud, but because you're silent. And in that curiosity, they give you something you can never demand: respect. Mystery gives weight to your words. When you rarely speak, people pay more attention when you do. Your silence becomes your filter, separating what truly matters from what doesn't. The Stoic doesn't chase attention. They allow it to come naturally, drawn by quiet confidence. Those who constantly talk lose authority because their words become cheap, abundant, scattered, and predictable. But when you master the art of silence, every word you choose to speak carries intention. It lands with impact because it's not buried under noise. Think of how nature expresses its power. The ocean doesn't explain its depth. You simply sense it. The mountain doesn't declare its height. You feel it when you stand before it. True power never announces itself. It's simply there, undeniable and unmoved. The Stoic applies the same principle to life. They let their actions speak quietly but clearly. They let their results whisper louder than any self-promotion ever could. Their silence isn't arrogance. It's control, a refusal to waste energy proving what can only be shown. In modern life, oversharing has become a trap. People expose everything: their plans, their relationships, even their emotions, seeking validation in return. But the more they share, the more they lose control of how others see them. Mystery, on the other hand, puts you back in command. It protects your boundaries. It keeps others guessing about your next move. your intentions, and your thoughts. And the human mind, by nature, respects what it cannot fully understand. When people can't read you, they approach you with caution, even reverence. The Stoics valued composure not to appear emotionless, but to maintain inner freedom. They knew that emotional transparency, when placed in the wrong hands, can turn into emotional vulnerability. When you react too quickly or speak too openly, you give others insight into your weaknesses. But when you respond with calm silence, you remain untouchable. No one can manipulate what they can't predict. No one can control what they can't read. Mystery also protects your energy from dilution. Every time you resist the urge to explain yourself, you're building quiet strength. You're telling the world, "I don't need to be understood to be at peace." This kind of self-possession is rare, and people are instinctively drawn to it. They may not understand you, but they can feel your groundedness. They sense that you're not desperate for attention or approval, and that silent confidence is magnetic. Even in relationships, mystery adds value. When you don't rush to expose every detail about yourself, you allow time and depth to unfold naturally. You give others something to discover, something to earn. The Stoics practiced self-restraint because they knew that what is easily accessible is rarely appreciated. When you give people everything too soon, they stop valuing you. When you give slowly and wisely, they learn to respect your depth. To live mysteriously in the Stoic way is not to hide, it's to manage exposure. You decide what to show, when to speak, and to whom. You move with quiet confidence, trusting that not every truth needs an audience, and not every emotion needs to be seen. You become like still water, clear, deep, and impossible to fully grasp. The more silent you are, the more powerful your presence becomes. So speak rarely, act deliberately, and let your silence create the space where respect grows. Because in a noisy world filled with constant exposure, mystery is rebellion, and silence is dominance. Those who master both master themselves. 6. Silence builds inner awareness. Silence is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of awareness. When the world around you grows quiet, when the noise of others fades away, something remarkable begins to happen. You start hearing the voice within you. The Stoics understood that silence is not just a practice, it is a gateway to self-mastery. In silence, the external world loosens its grip on your attention, and you finally meet the person you've been avoiding the most, yourself. Marcus Aurelius spent countless nights journaling in stillness, not to impress anyone, not to seek praise, but to converse with his own mind. His meditations were a dialogue with his inner self, a mirror held up to his soul. He wrote his thoughts down to observe them, not to escape them. That's the essence of Stoic silence. To listen deeply, not just to the world, but to the quiet whispers of your consciousness. Because beneath the endless stream of thoughts and emotions lies a calm observer, the real you, and silence is how you reconnect with it. When you stop explaining yourself to the world, you begin to understand yourself. You notice patterns in your thinking, the triggers behind your emotions, and the lies you tell yourself to feel safe. In constant noise, these truths remain buried. In silence, they surface gently, like ripples on still water. You begin to see how much of your suffering isn't caused by what happens to you, but by how your mind interprets it. The Stoics knew that self-awareness is the first step to freedom. You cannot control your thoughts until you see them clearly, and you cannot see them clearly until you are quiet enough to observe them. Epictetus taught that no man is free who is not master of himself. But how can one become a master without understanding his own mind? The practice of silence is the answer. It slows down the mental storm long enough for you to witness its patterns. You begin to recognize how often your ego speaks louder than your reason, how your fears disguise themselves as logic, and how your impulses often lead you astray. This awareness doesn't come through argument or advice, it comes through stillness, because silence reveals what words hide. Modern life makes silence uncomfortable. We've grown addicted to noise, notifications, conversations, music, endless distractions, anything to avoid sitting alone with our thoughts. Yet the Stoics embraced solitude as sacred. They understood that peace isn't found by escaping your mind, but by understanding it. When you give yourself moments of stillness, even a few minutes of complete silence, your nervous system begins to reset. Your breath deepens, your mind clears, and your perception sharpens. You begin to see life not as a blur of reactions, but as a series of choices. Silence transforms chaos into clarity. In silence, you also start to sense something greater, a quiet intelligence that flows beneath all existence. The Stoics often referred to this as the logos, the universal reason or divine order that governs everything. When you're silent, you begin to feel aligned with it. You sense that life is not against you, it's guiding you. You stop resisting what happens and start observing it. That shift from reaction to awareness is the birth of inner peace. You begin to act with intention instead of impulse, to respond with wisdom instead of emotion. But silence doesn't mean shutting yourself off from the world. It means learning to carry peace within the noise. The Stoic seeks not a quiet place, but a quiet mind. You could be surrounded by people, yet remain inwardly still. You could face conflict and chaos, yet stay calm like a mountain in the storm. That inner stillness is the mark of a disciplined soul, one who no longer needs the world to be quiet in order to be at peace. With practice, silence turns from a habit into a sanctuary. It becomes your invisible temple, a place you can return to anytime, anywhere. Whenever life becomes overwhelming, you can retreat into that inner stillness, breathe, and regain clarity. No external event, no person, and no chaos can disturb you for long, because you have built a calm space inside that no one else can enter. The more you nurture this silence, the stronger it grows. You begin to realize that most problems are illusions magnified by noise. In silence, they shrink to their real size. You start to understand that most arguments are unnecessary, most worries are temporary, and most fears never happen. Silence brings proportion. It teaches you to differentiate between what truly matters and what doesn't. It brings you back to the simplicity of life, breath, awareness, presence. Silence is also how wisdom takes root. The greatest thinkers, warriors, and philosophers in history, from Marcus Aurelius to Socrates, all sought silence not because they feared the world, but because they wished to hear truth unclouded by emotion. The Stoic realizes that knowledge comes from learning, but wisdom comes from reflection, and reflection can only exist in stillness. So, give yourself the gift of silence every day. Step away from the noise, the endless opinions, the pressure to respond. Sit with yourself, breathe, and listen. Let your thoughts rise and fall without judgment. Over time, that silence will stop feeling empty and start feeling alive, full of clarity, strength, and presence. You will discover that silence is not a void to fill. It is a mirror that shows you who you truly are. In the end, silence builds more than awareness, it builds mastery. It teaches you to control your emotions, direct your focus, and understand your place in the world. And once you master that inner awareness, you become unshakable. Because when the world grows loud again, you will know the truth the Stoics lived by, that peace was never outside, it was always within you, waiting for you to listen. Sept, speak less, do more. In the eyes of the Stoics, words are cheap, action is priceless. Talking about what you'll do, who you'll become, and what you plan to achieve is easy, but doing it quietly, consistently, without applause, that's where true discipline lives. Seneca once said, "Let deeds match words." Yet most people today live in reverse. They speak grandly but act weakly. They announce their goals to feel momentary excitement, but the more they talk about them, the less they actually accomplish. Because every time you speak of what you intend to do, your brain releases the same satisfaction as if you've already done it. That's why the Stoic path demands restraint. Speak less, act more, and let the results make the noise. When you tell everyone your plans, you feed your ego before feeding your discipline. You start performing for validation instead of progress. You begin to crave acknowledgement more than improvement. The Stoic avoids this trap by mastering what modern psychology now confirms: silence preserves drive. The fewer people you tell about your goals, the stronger your internal motivation remains. Talking gives you comfort. Silence gives you power. Because silence creates pressure, the kind of quiet accountability that forces you to either grow or give up. And that pressure is sacred. It's the invisible forge where strength is built. Marcus Aurelius lived by this code. He was emperor of the most powerful empire in the world, yet he rarely spoke of power. He never boasted of his influence, never sought praise. He wrote privately, reflected quietly, and worked relentlessly. His silence was not passivity, it was control. He embodied the Stoic truth that a calm mind and consistent action are the ultimate forms of authority. When you do more than you say, your results begin to speak for you, and no argument, no critic, no judgment can overpower what reality reveals. The Stoic principle of speak less, do more isn't just about humility, it's about alignment. It's about ensuring that your words and actions move in the same direction. When you speak less, you stop wasting energy convincing others. You stop defending your dreams to people who can't see your vision. You stop seeking approval from those who would rather doubt you than support you. Instead, you redirect that energy inward into doing, building, becoming. Each quiet action becomes a brick in the foundation of your legacy. Silence also protects you from self-deception. When you talk too much about what you'll do, you trick your mind into believing you've already accomplished something. You get the emotional reward of progress without making any. That's why so many people live in the fantasy of someday. They talk themselves into satisfaction instead of working towards success. The Stoic avoids this illusion by acting first, speaking later if at all, because results speak with a language far louder than words. Epictetus taught that character is fate. What you consistently do becomes who you are. If your words are strong but your actions are weak, the world sees through the illusion. The Stoic knows that talk doesn't build virtue, repetition does. They train their minds like a soldier sharpens his blade quietly, daily, without spectacle. Their victories aren't announced, they are felt. The strength you build in silence becomes visible, not through your mouth, but through your presence. In a noisy world, those who move quietly often rise the fastest. Because while others are explaining, they are executing. While others are arguing, they are advancing. The modern mind confuses activity with progress, but the Stoic knows that progress is made not in public performance, but in private persistence. Greatness doesn't come from being seen working hard. It comes from doing the work no one sees. Silence gives that work depth. It transforms ambition into mastery. Consider the craftsman who spends years perfecting his skill in solitude. He doesn't rush to show every unfinished piece. He waits until the work speaks for itself. That is the Stoic approach to life. You are the craftsman, and your actions are your art. Every disciplined habit, every moment of patience, every choice to stay calm under pressure. These are strokes of mastery. The less you speak of them, the more powerful they become, because silence amplifies authenticity. Silence also teaches humility. When you act without seeking recognition, you free yourself from the ego's endless hunger for praise. You begin to find satisfaction in the process itself. You start doing things not for applause, but for excellence. This is the highest level of strength, when your motivation comes from within, and your only competition is the person you were yesterday. The Stoic doesn't act for attention. He acts because it aligns with virtue, because it feels right, because it's his duty. But this silence doesn't mean isolation. It doesn't mean you never share or inspire. It means you share from results, not from intention. You speak from experience, not from desire. You let your achievements teach, your discipline inspire, and your peace lead. The Stoic knows that words carry weight only when they are backed by consistent action. A single sentence from a person who lives their truth is worth more than 1,000 promises from someone who only speaks it. In the end, speak less, do more is not about suppressing expression. It's about strengthening integrity. It's a reminder that noise fades, but actions endure. The Stoic seeks not to be known for what he said he'd do, but for what he silently became. When your focus shifts from talking to becoming, from showing to doing, your life transforms. You no longer need to convince the world that you're on the right path. Your calm progress becomes undeniable evidence. So, move in silence. Let your actions echo louder than your words. Build quietly, grow humbly, and let your results reveal what your mouth no longer needs to say. Because in the end, true strength doesn't shout, it simply shows. And when it does, the world will listen, not because you demanded attention, but because your silence became impossible to ignore. 8. The power of silent mastery. There comes a moment in every Stoic's journey when silence no longer feels like restraint, it feels like freedom. At first, silence is difficult. You want to speak, to explain, to be understood. You want the world to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. But the more you grow, the more you realize that silence is not emptiness, it's elevation. It is the stage beyond words, where your presence, your actions, and your energy do the speaking for you. The Stoics understood that the highest form of mastery isn't loud confidence, it's quiet certainty. It's walking through the world with calm assurance that you owe no one an explanation for your peace, your progress, or your purpose. Silent mastery begins when you stop chasing recognition. You stop performing for the world and start performing for your soul. You stop explaining your dreams and start building them. You stop reacting to critics and start refining yourself. This shift is not arrogance, it is wisdom. The wise understand that noise consumes energy, but silence creates it. Talking scatters your focus, but stillness sharpens it. When you no longer need to announce your growth, you begin to grow faster. When you stop telling everyone your next move, life rewards you with more power to make it happen. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, ruled an empire yet found time to write daily reminders to himself in complete solitude. He did not write to be seen, he wrote to stay aligned. He practiced silent mastery, the art of maintaining inner order, while the world around him moved in chaos. He didn't boast about his virtues or justify his actions, he simply lived by them. That is the essence of Stoic silence. It's not the absence of words, but the presence of unshakable clarity. Silent mastery transforms how you carry yourself. You begin to move through life with quiet conviction. You no longer react to provocation because you've learned that reaction is energy wasted. You don't argue to prove your point because truth doesn't require validation. You don't seek attention because real power doesn't announce itself. When you walk in silence, people feel something about you, a groundedness, a depth, a calm intensity that speaks louder than words. They can't quite explain it, but they sense that you know something they don't. And that something is peace. The Stoics believed that life is like a battlefield of the mind. Every day, you face distractions, temptations, and emotional traps that pull you away from your higher self. But when you cultivate silence, you build an inner fortress where chaos cannot enter. You become like a mountain, still, steady, immovable. Others may shout, complain, or react, but you remain anchored. That's not coldness, it's control. It's understanding that not every battle deserves your sword, and not every opinion deserves your attention. Silent mastery allows you to save your strength for what truly matters: your purpose, your peace, and your progress. Silence also refines perception. When you stop speaking constantly, you start hearing not just the words of others, but the truth beneath them. You notice tone, emotion, and intention. You sense when someone's kindness is genuine or strategic. You feel when an opportunity aligns with your values or distracts from them. Silence sharpens intuition because it clears the static from your awareness. The Stoic who practices silence sees more because he listens more to others, to life, and to himself. But silent mastery doesn't mean withdrawal from the world. It means engagement with awareness. It means choosing your words the way an artist chooses colors, with care, precision, and intention. When you speak, your voice carries weight because people know it comes from thought, not impulse. You don't speak to fill space, you speak to create meaning. That's why the words of the truly wise are remembered, because they are few, deliberate, and powerful. The more you practice silence, the more you realize how much noise in life is meaningless. People talk endlessly about things that don't change them. They debate opinions that don't matter, defend egos that don't serve them, and seek validation from people who don't care. The Stoic refuses to play that game. They understand that time is precious, energy is sacred, and peace is priceless. So they invest their silence like a currency, saving it for moments that truly deserve expression. And something miraculous happens when you master this discipline. You become untouchable, not because the world stops testing you, but because nothing outside can shake what's solid inside. Insults lose power because they no longer find a reaction. Disrespect doesn't sting because you no longer need others to respect you to feel whole. Failure doesn't destroy you because you know it's part of your silent growth. You begin to live from within, anchored in stillness, unbothered by storms. Silent mastery is not about hiding from life. It's about mastering life's noise so completely that it can no longer control your emotions. It's about learning that peace is not given, it's cultivated. It's realizing that every word you don't speak adds to your strength, and every reaction you don't give adds to your power. The Stoic warrior doesn't roar, he radiates calm confidence. He doesn't announce his strength, he embodies it. In the end, silence becomes not just a habit, but your way of being. You move through the world differently. You speak when necessary, act with precision, and live with intention. People notice the change not because you told them, but because your energy says it for you. You become a force that doesn't need to explain itself. That is silent mastery, the art of living so aligned, so grounded, and so wise that the world feels your presence even when you say nothing at all. And when you reach that level, you'll finally understand why the Stoics chose silence over speech, because silence isn't emptiness, it's enlightenment in disguise. In the end, silence is not just a habit, it's a philosophy, a way of living that separates the distracted from the disciplined, the loud from the wise, the impulsive from the intentional. The Stoics knew that true strength doesn't come from how much you speak, but from how well you observe before you do. The world today moves fast, full of noise, opinions, and endless self-expression, yet very few stop to listen to themselves, to others, or to life itself. Silence is where the noise ends, and wisdom begins. When you master silence, you stop being easily provoked. You stop feeling the need to defend every choice or explain every emotion. You start understanding that people don't need to understand you because their perception of you is not your responsibility. You conserve your energy, protect your peace, and build an inner world that no one can shake. The Stoics didn't stay silent because they were timid. They stayed silent because they were trained. They knew that a person who cannot control their tongue cannot control their mind, and a person who cannot control their mind cannot control their life. Silence makes you powerful because it roots you in awareness. It teaches you patience, the ability to wait, to think, to respond rather than react. It allows you to step back when others rush forward, to observe when others argue, and to act with precision when the time is right. In that pause lies your true power, the power to choose peace over chaos, composure over conflict, and presence over performance. The more you practice silence, the less you need from the world. You stop craving attention because your focus shifts inward. You stop chasing validation because your worth becomes self-evident. You stop oversharing because your confidence no longer depends on being understood. You learn to let your results, your peace, and your discipline speak louder than any word you could ever say. Silence is the highest form of self-respect. It is saying to yourself, "My energy is too sacred to waste on noise." It is the quiet acknowledgement that not every thought deserves to be spoken, not every emotion deserves to be expressed, and not every reaction deserves your time. It's a declaration that your peace is your priority and that no one else is allowed to disturb it without permission. So stop telling everyone your life. Let the world wonder how you stay so calm while it's loud. Let your silence be your mystery, your discipline be your proof, and your actions be your voice. Because in the end, words may echo for a moment, but silence leaves an eternal impression. Speak less, observe more, move quietly, build powerfully. And remember, in a world addicted to noise, silence will always be your greatest form of strength.